Okay, so Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, today we are going to continue from wherever we have stopped at the last classes. And if you remember, we have we have reached to the chapter of planning. We talked about stakeholder analysis, and we have learned that there are different steps that we need to follow in order to have stakeholder analysis, followed by risk planning, and we have learned what are the steps involved in risk management. If you remember, we said risk identification, risk analysis, and then risk response. And then in the last classes, we have taken something called procurement planning. And in procurement planning, we have we have discussed statement of work. And we said statement of work is a document in which we are going to show the important information which are required for the other party to enter to agreement with me. And then we have learned the different types of delivery systems, different types of payment methods, and we have taken problems analyzing certain scenarios in deciding which delivery system is better and which payment method is better. And at the end, we have taken the process of having a contract formation and how to form a contract. And we said first thing we need to decide on the methodology. We have said we have request for information, request for quotation, and then finally request for proposal. And we said in construction mainly we are using request for proposal when it comes to the client and the contractor. The client will be asking the contractor to do the whole job. And then we are using request for quotation whenever there is an agreement between the contractor and the supplier, where the supplier will be supplying the materials. Okay. And then we have talked about contract awarding. We said we need to follow. We said we need to advertise first, if you remember. And we said the level of advertisement will vary from uh, from a project to another project depending on the size of the project. We said some of the project does not require advertising a lot. It's sufficient to go and give the documents to the contractors. We said some of the projects require to be published in newspaper or the tender board. And then we said some of them require to have a conference. They are mega projects. And then we learned contract bidding. And contract bidding, we have learned that there are different steps as well involved in the process. We said we normally start uh, the bidding period by the contractors purchasing the documents. After they purchase the documents, they are able to go and bid and give their offers till a certain time. That time is called to be bid opening, if you remember. And we said that's the time where we are going to open our bids or offers. And after having the bids or the offers, we are going to go for something called technical financial evaluation, if you remember. And we said like we are going to evaluate the offer in terms of money, and we're going to evaluate it in terms of technicality, which is going to involve a lot of things like organization, like health and safety, and other things that we have mentioned in the last classes. And the last thing we said, um, after we already do the technical financial evaluation, the step after is going to go and sign the contract, which is contract administration. So once again, contract administration is referring to the process of finalizing and signing the contract with the other party. Okay. Now, after we sign the contract, normally what will happen? After we sign the contract, normally what will happen? The contractor is going to start working, right? Do you agree? Do you agree that after signing the contract, the contractor will start working, making the project itself? Do you agree? Okay. Okay. Now, when I can say, after he starts working, when can I say that the contract or the project has finished? Once again, we signed the contract, he started the work. When can I say that the project has finished or the contract has been closed already? When I can say like that? If you received as a client, if you received your project, but you were not satisfied with it, do you accept the project as finished or closed or completed? Once again, the contractor has finished his work. He gave me the project, but I was not satisfied. There were certain things which are not done perfectly. Can I say that the project has been finished or closed or completed? So we cannot say that. So one of the things that they cannot say that the project is closed or finished unless the client was satisfied about the work and everything was done according to the contract. Now, after that, after that, would I say, for the second scenario, would I say that the project is closed if the contractor has not received all of his payments? Can I say that the contract is closed or finished or completed if the contractor didn't get his total amounts? No. Okay. So what do we mean? What do we mean by contract closure here? Contract closure is a process where we have already received our project, but two things to be kept in mind. One thing, the client is satisfied and all the work has been done according to the contract. Second thing, the contractor has received all the payments necessary for him. Now, after the contractor received all the amount of money, after the owner has received the building and he was satisfied, can I say that the project is completed already? Once again, if the client has received the project and he was satisfied, and the contractor has received all of his amount of money and he was satisfied, can I say now that the project is finished or completed? If both parties has received their rights, can I say that the project is finished or closed now or completed? Okay. So we can say so. So when we refer to the topic of contract closure, when we refer to the topic of contract closure, we are referring to the process of completing the project, taking into account that the client is satisfied and the contractor has received the entire amount of money. So once again, contract administration is referring to finalizing and signing the contract. After the contract is signed, the contractor will start working. Now, after he finish the project, two things needs to be checked before saying that the project has been completely finished or the contract is closed already. One thing, all the work has been done according to the contract and the client was satisfied. Second thing, the contractor has received all of his payments. Because whenever you are closing a contract, you cannot ask a person to come and modify something. Okay. So once again, contract closure is a process of completing the project, taking into account that both the parties, the client and the contractor, are satisfied. Okay. Are we clear about contract closure? Are we clear about contract closure? Okay. Now, there are two terms here. One is bidding, another one is negotiation. Okay, there is bidding and there is negotiation, and we have talked already about bidding. Okay, we have talked about bidding already. Now, when would you use negotiation, or what's the meaning of negotiation first? What's the meaning of bidding, or what's the comparison between bidding and negotiation? Negotiation. Anybody knows what's the meaning of negotiation?
negotiation يعني هي مفاوضات، مثل المفاوضات، مناقشة، تناقش على موضوع السعر.
Okay. So to keep it a bit simple, when we directly compare between negotiation and bidding, in which approach we are getting the best price, in negotiation or bidding? Or before going and talking about the best price, now bidding will have more participants or negotiation will have more participants? Bidding is going to have more people or negotiation will have more people? Now bidding, most of you have said bidding is normally involving a lot of people. A lot of people can go and offer their offers. But when we talk about negotiation, we can negotiate only with limited number of people. Do you agree? We cannot go and negotiate each and every person. Okay, so negotiation is normally limited to certain people compared to bidding. So in bidding, almost all the people who are fit, they can go and submit their offers. But when it comes to negotiation, we are going to negotiate certain number of contractors. Now, in bidding, can you control the quality of the contractors before you receive the offers? Once again, in bidding, can we control the quality of the contracts? Of the contractors before receiving the bids? Once again.
What, Mr. again?
Once again, in bidding, okay, in bidding, can you know the quality of the contractor before doing the technical financial evaluation, before you start? Before he starts giving you the offer, would you know the quality of the contractor?
Yes, Mr.
How would you know? Once again, for me as a contractor, when I go and submit an offer or in a bid, okay, it's not required for me to show any evidence of the quality of the work that I'm having. I'm only submitting an offer. Are we okay? So once again, when it comes to contract bidding, there is no check for quality before I submit my offer. Later on, there will be a financial technical evaluation. And in some projects, they are taking the lowest price directly. Okay. So once again, when it comes to bidding, normally we don't check the quality upfront. Now in negotiation, will you go and check the quality before you negotiate a person? Will you negotiate a person or a company who does not have the quality required? Will you go and negotiate a company? Will you go and negotiate a company who is not having the quality required from the beginning? Okay. So if we want to compare between these two, okay, if we want to compare between bidding and negotiation, we want to compare between them. Let me just copy the whiteboard. So if we talk about bidding, and then in the opposite side we talk about negotiation. Okay. Now mainly we are looking here for the best offer. Here mainly we are looking for the quality. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me?
مستر الصوت ما هو واضح واجد.
Okay. Once again, when it comes to bidding, now can you hear me properly?
Yes, mister.
Now for the bidding, do you agree that normally we look for the best offer? And in negotiation, we look for the quality more? Do you agree? Okay. Just 1 second. Okay. So we said in bidding, now is it better? The network is better now. Can you hear me properly now?
Yes, Mr.
Okay. So once again, when it comes to bidding, we said we are going to look mainly for the best offer. And when it comes to negotiation, we are going to look for mainly the quality. Now, the second thing, if we started to compare the number, of, let's say, number of contractors. Okay. Now, in which one the number of contractors is going to be more? The number of contractors in which process is going to be more? So it's going to be more in bidding. Okay. In bidding, it's going to be more because it's not limited to anybody. Here it's limited. Now, in terms of time, which one do you feel faster? When you go and do bidding, or when you will go and do negotiation? Which one is faster, bidding or negotiation? Now, if you see in bidding, you remember in bidding, we had a lot of processes. We had to advertise. After advertising, we had to do the bidding period. After bidding period, we had to do technical financial evaluation. So the process is a little bit, the process is a little bit time consuming. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time for me. It takes a lot of time for me to wait for all the offers to come. So that's why we are having something called bidding period, if you remember. We are keeping a bidding period, so we are going to have sufficient time to receive more offers. Now, in negotiation, do I need to wait for all the offers, or I can go and talk to the different contractors that I want to negotiate with? Okay, I'll give you an example which will make it a little bit clearer. I'll give you an example. Now, let's say that I want to go and purchase a phone. Okay, let's say that I want to go and purchase a phone. Now, if you are looking for the best price, will you go for one shop or will you go for many shops? Okay, so once again, I want to purchase an iPhone, for example. If I want to get the best price, will I go for one shop only, or will I go for many shops searching for the best price? Okay, so we are going to go for many shops. So when it comes to bidding, to get the best offer, we are going to go for more number of shops or more number of contractors. Yes, the screen is shared. Others, are you able to see the screen?
Mister, are you still in the statement of work?
So you cannot see the screen?
The screen, I think it's frozen at the statement of work. Still, the methodology and the contract awarding.
Okay. Now, are you able to see? Okay. So once again, whatever we have tried to discuss, we said the desire of having the bidding is to find the best offer. Okay, the desire of buying for bidding is to get the best offer, while the desire for negotiation is to get the quality required. Okay. Now, for number of contractors, so the number of shops that I need to go and see. If I want to find the best price, then they are going to be more. Now, if I want a place which is guaranteed to have that particular phone, will I go for many shops, or will I go for a shop which is trusted, like for example Extra or big shops. If you are looking for the quality, let's say quality involves a lot of things. Okay. So if we are looking for more quality, or let's say more safety or warranty or whatever, normally we go for the big shops. A number of big shops are going to be very limited. Okay. So once again, the methodologies, these two philosophies or these two methodologies are different in the sense it depends on what you require. Now, when I go for many shops, will I take a lot of time? If I go for many shops, will I take a lot of time? So that's why we said it is time consuming. Now, if I go for a limited number of shops only, will I take a lot of time? Will I take a lot of time? So that's why it is fast when it comes to negotiation. Okay. Now, last thing we need to let's say entity. Okay, so what type of entity? What type of entity that is normally used in negotiation and which one is normally used in bidding? Okay. Now, when we talk about entities here in Oman, we talk about sector, so sectors or entities. We talk about private sector, and we talk about public and private, right? We talk about public sector and private sector. Private sector is representing the company. Public sector is representing the government. Do you agree? Okay. So which one normally fits, which methodology fits public projects and which one fits private projects? The companies, the private companies, will they be looking for the best quality or they will be looking for the best price? Government will be looking for the best price or the best quality. Okay. Okay. So the correct best price. Oh. So I do agree more with Nasser and Shuru. Um, when it comes to public sector or the government will be searching for the best price, and that is for a reason. When it comes to the government, they have a lot of projects. They have a lot of projects, and they don't want to spend a lot of money for one single project. Okay, so the government, rather than going for the negotiation and choosing the best companies, they will go normally for the best offer, or they will go for bidding rather than going for a very expensive option. Now, which one is more expensive, negotiation or bidding? Which one is more expensive, negotiation or bidding? In which one you are going to get the lowest price? Negotiation or in bidding? Okay, in bidding you will be getting the lowest price, right? The same with the same example of the phone. If you are going to go for many shops, you will find better prices. If you go only, for example, for extra, you will see that the price in extra is higher than the other shops. Okay, but it is guaranteed that you will be finding the phone in extra. It's not guaranteed that you will find it in the other shops. Okay, so once again, when it comes to the entities or the sector, normally government is going to go for the best offer. But let's say public, since they have a lot of projects and they don't want to spend a lot of money in a single project. And then for negotiation, etc. Can you wait a second, little bit? Sorry for that. Anyhow, for bidding, normally bidding is adopted by public, and then negotiation is adopted by the private entities. The private companies or the private entities, they'll be looking for one investment. They don't want to pay a lot of money each and every time. I'm going to pay one single amount for something which is good. The government normally will be looking for the best offer, and whenever a maintenance is required, they will do a maintenance rather than paying a lot of huge amount of money from the beginning. Okay, and once again, it does not mean that in in government we don't use negotiation. No, we use it, but normally bidding will be adopted more by the public entities. Are we clear? Are we clear? Okay. So once again, there will be certain questions. Okay, there will be certain questions asking you to choose between bidding and negotiation. Okay, and you need to know according to that particular scenario whether the client is looking for the best offer, he's looking for the quality, he's looking for the time, and according to that, you are going to go for the solution. Now, let me check if we can solve one of the questions. Okay, so this one, for example, now if we go and see this particular question, it says for you awarding method, either going for negotiation or going for competitive bidding, or whatever we call it as open bidding. There are different names for bidding. We call it to be competitive bidding since there is a competition, or we call it as an open bidding. Okay. So first thing that they are asking you for the uniqueness of the project. Now, in which one, if the project is unique, you will go for? You will go for competitive bidding or you will go for negotiation. If the project is unique and it's new somehow, you will go for companies, you know their quality, or you will open the door for everyone. Can you please turn off your mics? Okay. Once again, if the project is unique, you will go for negotiation or you will go for competitive bidding. Okay. So once again, if the project is unique, I'll not open the door for all the contractors. Now, for example, if for example they want to do a new airport, if they are going to go for a new airport, will they open it for everyone, or they will be choosing only a certain grade of contractors, those who are having, for example, first class or premium grade? So if you are going for a certain grade of contractors, are you going for competitive bidding or are you going for negotiation? Did you pre-book? Did you pre-select the quality required? Is there any selection of a pre-contractors? Did you choose only certain type of contractors? If you have chosen, then it's going to be negotiation. If you are opening it for everyone, then it's competitive bidding. Now, if the project is unique, will you open it for everyone, or you will be giving it to only companies that you are familiar with their quality? Okay, so when it comes to negotiation, when it comes to negotiation, we are going for unique requirements. For negotiation, it's unique requirements. That's why I'm going to approach companies whom I know that they have the quality required to make this particular project. When it comes to competitive bidding, it's going to be usual requirements. It's open, since it's open for everyone, it means that the requirements are not too complicated. Do you agree? So negotiation is going to go for unique requirements normally. Competitive bidding is going to go for usual requirements or typical requirements. In terms of time, we said negotiation is fast, so fast tracking will go for negotiation. Competitive bidding, because it requires a lot of time to wait for the offers, it is going to be slow. So fast tracking for negotiation, slow is for competitive bidding. Okay. Now cost risk allocation. Now, once again, cost and risk allocation is related normally to price. Okay, cost risk allocation is normally related to the price. Now, in which one there is a higher risk of having a higher price? In negotiation or competitive bidding? In which one do you think that you are going to pay more? Negotiation or competitive bidding? In companies that you have selected and you know their quality, or with a method where you are trying to search for the best offer? In which method you are going to pay more? If you are going to extra only, or if you are going to many shops? So if I'm going for extra, or I'm picking certain companies, then the price, of course, is going to be higher. Do you agree? Do you agree that the price is going to be higher? Okay. Now, if the price is higher, the risk is with whom? With the owner or contractor? If the risk is going to go, if you are going to go for a higher price, the risk is with whom? The owner or the contractor? Owner. So when I say cost risk allocation, then risk allocation is going to go with the owner for negotiation. Once again, things are simple if you know how to ask yourself certain questions and if you know how to analyze. If you memorize, you will not find these things inside your handout. Post risk allocation, in terms of competitive bidding, the risk with whom, since the prices are getting lower, the risk is going to go with the contractor to finish the contract within that particular price. Do you agree? Public-private entity, we have already talked about it. We said negotiation normally is adopted by private entity, and then for competitive bidding is normally adopted by public entity. Are we okay? Are we fine? Okay, one last thing before we finish this procurement planning. One last thing before we finish procurement planning. Do you remember when we have talked about something called change order? Do you remember when we have talked about something called change order? Okay. Now, change order is going to be happening when? So now we have the contract here. One thing, are we allowed to do any change before the contract is signed? Say signing the contract. Are we allowed to do anything before signing the contract? Are we allowed to change any offer before signing the contract? Do you remember? Are we allowed? So any changes before signing the contract, we call it as any changes before starting the contract. And I have given you an example of changing a value of the contract. Do you remember? So before signing the contract, we call it as addenda. Okay. Okay. So any change before signing the contract, we call it addenda. Addenda is coming from addendum. Addendum means a change. Okay. So addenda. Okay. Once again, addenda refers to any change before the contract is signed. Now, if the contract is signed, what do we call it? If the contract is signed and I want to change something, what do we call it? If you remember, we called it as change order or variation. Are we okay? Between the difference of addenda and change order. Addenda is any changes that you are requesting or you are doing before signing the contract. Change orders are the changes that you are trying to do after the contract is signed. Okay. One of them does not require the approval of the other one, the other party, and the other one is requiring. Okay. So, and we can see a question for this type of topic. So here, for example, it asks you to differentiate between addenda and change order with the help of an example. So I have already told you the difference mainly. Addenda is any change before signing the contract. Change order is any changes requested after signing the contract. The example, you can give an example from your own side, but once again, if I have asked for any changes in the drawings before signing the contract, for example, that's considered to be an addenda. It's an addition. If we signed the contract and everything was okay, and then in the middle of the project I come to change the drawings, then at that time it's going to be a change order. Are we okay? Are we fine? Okay. Now going for the next planning. Okay, we are going to go for the next planning area, which is scope planning. Now, if I asked you one question, in what basis you are going to, or how would you make sure that you are going to do all the work? I asked you to do the construction of a house. How would you make sure that you are going to do all the tasks and not forget any task? Once again, I told you, now since you are a graduating engineer, so inshallah, I told you that I want you to go and uh, yeah, and this is going to be part of your assignment, by the way. Okay. So for your assignments, let me just introduce the assignment as well. Okay, the first part of the assignment, there are two parts of the assignment. Okay, so the first part of the assignment that you need to form groups of 3 students. Okay, you need to form group of 3 students. If you cannot and you prefer not to do it in groups because of the online thing, then it's fine. You can have it individually. It's up to you. Okay. Now the first thing what I want from you to tell me in your assignment what are the tasks involved in the construction of a single story house. Okay. The tasks required. What are the tasks that we need to do normally if we're having a single story house or a single story house? Okay. Now, whether you are an architect or whether you are a civil engineer, you cannot go to the industry and you don't know what are the steps involved in construction. Okay. You already reached to a position of the level of a graduate engineer, and you need to know these things before you start going to the interview. Okay, so this one is going to be a good revision for your interviews later on. So the first part of your assignment, once again, the first part of the assignment is that I want you to go and tell me what are the tasks involved in construction of a single story house. Okay, so all the tasks from the beginning till the end. So that's the first part of your assignment. Anyhow, now if I asked you, you have already thought of a project that your project is a single story house. Now, how would you make sure that you will not miss any of the tasks? How would you make sure that you are not going to miss any of the tasks? Do you think that the project of having a building is a little bit big or is it small? Now, when it comes to thinking of the example of a building, normally you think that it is little bit big. The project is big. So if we are having a building and we want to ensure, okay, we want to ensure that all the tasks involved in the construction of a single-story building is already mentioned or already found. What do you need to do? Are you with me or still sleeping? Are you able to hear my voice? Okay. Planning. We are in the middle. We are in the middle of planning. We are in the middle of planning. Once again, how would you make sure? How would you make sure that you do not forget any task? Can I say by dividing the project into smaller tasks? Can I say that, for example, I have now, let's say preliminaries, and then we have, for example, substructure, and then we have superstructure, and then we have, for example, let's say finishes. And then just behind, let's say just behind this superstructure, we're having, for example, slab, a beam, a column, and other things. Now, when you divide it into smaller parts, do you think it's becoming clearer a little bit? When you divide it into smaller parts, when you divide your project into smaller parts, do you think that it's a little bit becoming clearer for you to know the tasks? So once again, for example, a beam, we are going to say that, for example, we need to have the shuttering. What's the meaning of shuttering? Shuttering for both civil engineering students, architecture students, shuttering. Anybody? What's the meaning of shuttering? Shuttering is whatever you have used. Wood forms made of concrete sheet. Now, in the industry, when you go to the industry, you will hear a lot of shuttering. Here in the college, we have studied it as a formwork. Do you know what's your formwork? Formwork. Do you know what's your formwork? You have studied a name called formwork. Shuttering is another name for formwork. Shuttering is more used in industry. I think you know what's a formwork. Once again, in the industry, more they are using shuttering rather than using a formwork. So once again, either shuttering or formwork. Both of them are the same. Now you can see what I have tried to do. I have taken my big project. I try to divide it into smaller parts till I reach to a position that I cannot divide. So we can have shuttering for more reinforcement completing. Can I divide further? Is there anything to be divided further? Can you divide further? Okay. So we cannot divide anymore. Okay? So this is the last division that we can do. Okay, we cannot divide the reinforcement further. So now what I know that in beam we have shuttering, in beam we have reinforcement, and then in beam we have concrete. So there are three steps in both beams. Beam formwork or shuttering, beam reinforcement, and then beam concrete. Now by doing this division, we will be able to do two things. Okay? We will be able to do one, that we covered all the tasks and we will not forget any task. Second thing, you will be able to estimate duration and time. Now, if I asked you to estimate for me the total cost of a building, is it going to be easy for you? It's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be hard to estimate for a full building. How much will it cost? Now, if I asked you, how much is the cost of a reinforcement of this much, for example, will it be a little bit easier? Will you be able to estimate for the reinforcement, or for the concreting, or for the formwork? Now you can see we have reached to a position. We have reached to a position that we can estimate the time required, the cost required for these small things. And after that, we add them up. So we will know the price of the beam. And then later on, we'll add beam, slab, column together. And then we'll know the price of the superstructure. And then later on, we add all of the what you call preliminary substructure, superstructure, and then finishing to come up with the building value. It's always easier for you. It's always easier for you to go and estimate from the bottom. Okay, it's always going to be easier for you to estimate from the bottom. Okay. Now, this system of dividing the project into smaller tasks, we call it as WBS. Okay, we call it as WBS, which is referring to work breakdown structure. Okay, we call it as work breakdown structure. What's the meaning of work breakdown structure? It means that we are trying to break the work into smaller tasks. Is it clear? Are we clear? Okay. So we call this level to be level number 0. Okay, we call this level to be level number 0. The title of the project, the name or the title of the project, we call it as level number 0. Okay, it's level number 0. The first division we call it as level number 1. So this is number 1 now. This is number 2. This is number 3. And this is number 4. And then after that we have level number level number 2. So now this is going to be 3.1. This is going to be 3.2. And this is going to be 3.3. Are we okay? Are we okay with the levels? Level number 0 is for the project. Level number 1 is the first division. If you divide more, we call it level number 2. If we divide more, we call it level number 3. So this is now going to be level number 3. So we have it now 3.2.1. This was 3.2. This is 3.2.2. And then this is 3.2. Are we okay? Are we okay? The last level you are having here, the last level that we are having is level number 3. The last level that we are having is level number 3. Okay, the tasks in this particular level, we call them as work package. Okay. Once again, the last task that you cannot divide anymore, we call it as work package. Okay. Now, if you go and see in your Breezy, okay, you will see I have given you a small example of a pizza, and once again, why we are dividing the pizza, because the pizza is something huge. It cannot be eaten at one time. That's the same thing with your project. Your project is something which is huge. It cannot be dealt as one full thing. We need to cut it down into smaller parts. Why we are cutting it into smaller parts? In case of the pizzas, so we can eat them. In case of the project, so we can estimate the time and the cost required. Now, this is an example. This is an example of WBS. This is an example of WBS where we are having, as you can see, we are having level number 0, level number 1, okay, and then level number 3. Once again, level number 1, this is level number 0, which is the title of the project. Level number 1, level number 2, this is another one in level number 2, 3.1 and 3.2. Then we have level number 3, which is 3.1.1, 3.1.2. And these are called to be work packages. Are we clear? Are we clear? Okay. Now, previously in the previous semesters, we used to teach the students the different types of WBSs. I'm not going to teach you that in this particular semester. Okay, so let's see this particular question. So it says for you, using the table below, okay, using the table below, you need to make a 3-level WBS, level number 0, level number 1, level number 2, for a construction of a villa. For a construction of a villa, you need to do a WBS. Okay. Once again, the topic of WBS is very important for you when you graduate. Okay. So now, it says for me, using the table below, we need to make a 3-level WBS, level 0, level 1, and then level 2. Now, the first thing, I need to see the name of their project. So, of course, the name of the project for me is a villa project. So, I need to come up here, having this one to be a villa. Do you agree with me that this is level number 0 now? Okay. Now, after level number 0, I need to see how to divide. Okay, I need to see how to divide my my project. So how would you divide? Okay. So the first division is earthwork. So the first division is earthwork, which is to the earth, the excavation and the other things. The second thing is foundation. So we have foundations. Third thing we have superstructure. Okay, and this is being now. This is being level number 1. Now in foundations, we can see that we have how many things for foundation. We have foundation formwork, we have foundation completing, and then we have foundation reinforcement. Yeah, and it's important, since this is a sequential WBS. It's a WBS which is going through step-by-step process. It is important to keep them in the correct, let's say, form or the correct sequence. Now, which one comes first normally? Are we having the reinforcement first, or the formwork, or the foundation, or the concrete for the foundation? We know that there are 3. For the foundation, there are 3 things. There is foundation concrete, there is foundation formwork, and there is foundation reinforcement. What comes first? Let us first finish on the superstructure, since it's somehow easier. Let us finish from the superstructure and we'll return back to the foundation. Okay. So what we are trying to have in superstructure, we are going to have, here we have beams. Here we have beams, and we have slabs. Okay, so we have beams, slabs, and then we have columns. Okay. So of course the first one to come is the column. After that we are having the beam. After that we are having a slab. So we have finished from the beams, we have finished from the slabs, we have finished from the columns. Now for the earthwork, we have earthwork layout. Okay, and then we have earthwork excavation. So once again we have the layout here. And then we have the excavation here. And we are finished from the earthwork and excavation. Now for the foundation, returning back to the foundation. Returning back to the foundation, which one is coming before? So in terms of foundation, okay, in terms of foundation, first is going to come the reinforcement, of course. After that, we have formwork, and then we have concrete. We don't put the formwork first and then the reinforcement for a foundation. We put the reinforcement first and then the formwork. Okay. So once again, that's why it's important for me to give you the assignment on a single story house, because more really know the real steps of construction of a house. You cannot go to the jobs or the industry without knowing these steps carefully. Okay, so once again, for the foundation, we have the reinforcement first, then the formwork, and then the concrete. For the slabs and the beams, first we require the formwork, because these are suspending elements. They are hanged, so I cannot put the reinforcement before the formwork. Okay, so once again, for the beams and slabs, although for certain parts of the beams or certain parts of the formwork of the beam can be done after. Okay. For the column, once again, you will do the reinforcement. After doing the reinforcement, you will have your formwork or your shuttering. Okay. Are we okay with the question? And this is level number 2. Are we okay with the question? Now, in your level, already you are reaching to a beta level. I'm assuming you have studied all of these things. Right? So if I brought something similar in your test, which is related to your construction, you should be answering it. Right? Okay. So you can see that this was, I believe it was a 3 marks question. This was a 3 marks question, I think, in the final. 3 marks question in the final exam. Any further questions? Any further questions that you have? Resource planning, schedule planning, we are going to take next class. In schedule planning, we are going to spend maybe 2 to 3 classes actually. In schedule planning, around 20% of the marks, if not more, 20 to 30% of your marks in the whole course. Your final exam, your test number 2 is going to be from schedule planning. Once again, in schedule planning, 20% or 30% of your test number 2 of your final examination is going to be from schedule planning. Okay? Where we are going to learn how to do a full network or a full project. It is somehow of a calculation-based chapter. If you understood the concept of the calculation, things will be easy for you. Okay. Anyhow, we are going to take resource planning, schedule planning next class. Of course, we'll not be able to finish, but we'll try to cover the basics of the schedule planning. If you have any question, you may ask. Otherwise, we have finished today's lecture because I don't want to start and then stick in the middle. If you don't have any question, then we have finished for this. One thing only. I have posted in your teams the exam time. So please look at it. So your exam have number. You don't require to number them. The numbering is only for the example previously. This is now going to be 1. This is 2. This is 3. And this is going to be 1.1, 1.2. This is going to be 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 3.1, 3.2, even 3.3. Level number 0 normally does not have a number. Level number 1 is having one number. Level number 2 is having one number and one digit or one decimal. And then level number 2 goes further. 3, 4, 5, and it goes on. Okay. Now once again for your test number 2, the test number 2 is going to be on the 29th. I have already updated it from the last time since students were having some clashing. So it's now 29th. It's going to be after the holidays only. 29 is going to be Sunday after the holiday. After the holiday of 29. So it's after the National Day holidays. Are we okay? Are we fine? If we have finished the portion required for the test before, you were cooperative and try to spend one full class where we are going to solve previous exams and then have revisions. Okay, that's only if we have finished on time. Semester will end whenever the semester will end. Most probably at the end of December, like always. It's always the end of December, but we don't have clear till now. We don't have clear dates when the semester will finish. Any further questions that you're having?